as Sri Lanka teeters on the edge of bankruptcy amid economic crisis, rampant corruption, widespread social discontent. Sri Lankans elect a Marxist, Anura Kumara Dissanayake, becomes Sri Lanka's new president. Dissanayake unseats Wickremesinghe and rises to power. But will he be able to heal a nation divided by strife? Many challenges for new Sri Lankan president. Dissanayake's party once branded India enemy of Lankan interests. Meanwhile, China has keen interest in the island nation, especially because of its proximity to India and strategic position in Indian Ocean. Will Dissanayake's victory tilt the balance in China's favor? How the dragon's strategic interests in Sri Lanka could shape the future. Dissanayake's victory, what's at stake for India? How Dissanayake's win might reshape Southeast Asia's political landscape. In a historic turn of events, the country of Sri Lanka now has a new president, Anura Kumara Dissanayake. After a gripping second round of counting, the leader of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna and its political front, the National People's Power, claimed victory in the presidential election and was sworn in on September 23rd. Now, this unprecedented win marks a seismic shift in the nation's political landscape, where a Marxist leader now steps into the highest office of a country long dominated by political elites. Dissanayake, aged 55, rose above heavyweights like incumbent President Ranil Wickremesinghe, who placed third with just 17% of the votes. Namal Rajapaksa, son of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, fared even worse, securing less than 3%. Sajith Premadasa, son of former President Rana Singhe Premadasa, emerged as the only serious contender after winning 32% in the first round of voting. However, Dissanayake overtook him in the runoff, ultimately clinching the big win. Marxists in power signaled the frustration of the Lankans with establishment politics and the general mood in a debt-ridden country. Now, his party's previous anti-India stance raises questions about Sri Lanka's future alliances, particularly as China seeks to strengthen its strategic foothold. Now, will Dissanayake's rise tilt the balance in China's favor, reshaping Southeast Asia's political landscape? The stakes for India are higher than ever. Now, this brings us to some very crucial questions. What exactly does Anura Kumara Dissanayake's rise to power signify for Sri Lanka? How will his Marxist ideology translate into governance? Will his presidency bring about the reforms and relief that Sri Lankans so desperately seek, or will it lead to further instability? Can Dissanayake truly unify a nation that remains divided along ethnic, religious and class lines? How will his leadership impact Sri Lanka's relationships with India and other key international partners? Now, Sri Lanka's voters decisively rejected the political establishment that has governed the country for 7 decades, opting instead for Dissanayake's anti-elite platform. As per reports, the election results hint at the public's deep frustration with a system that has seen recurring economic crises, rampant corruption and widespread social discontent. Now, the island nation's political elites, once seen as untouchable, have faced the wrath of a population battered by inflation, food shortages and a devastating economic meltdown. The JVP's victory in this election is no accident. Since the economic collapse of 2022, the signs of their rise have been clear. The collapse of the Rajapaksa government in July 2022 was triggered by nationwide protests driven by frustration over inflation and shortages of essential goods. Now, in the wake of Gotabaya Rajapaksa's resignation, the political vacuum was filled by Ranil Wickremesinghe, an experienced figure whose ties to the Rajapaksa family were deeply unpopular. Now, the public saw Wickremesinghe's rise as just another example of the political elites swapping places, further entrenching their control. As Dissanayake takes office, he inherits a country still struggling to recover from its economic collapse. Newly elected Sri Lankan President Dissanayake expressed his gratitude to Prime Minister Narendra Modi on September 22nd. The 55-year-old Marxist leader responded after PM Modi extended his desire to collaborate closely with him to enhance multifaceted ties between the neighboring countries. In his reply on X, Dissanayake pledged to foster cooperation for the greater good of the entire region. Now, for India, Dissanayake's rise to power is a double-edged sword. The JVP has a long history of opposing Indian involvement in Sri Lankan affairs. Remember, his party once branded India as the enemy of Sri Lankan interests. The party's violent insurrection in the late 1980s was partly driven by its opposition to the Indo-Lanka Accord of 1987, which it viewed as a threat to Sri Lankan sovereignty. However, in a marked shift, Dissanayake visited India earlier this year in February 2024, meeting with India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. Now, the meetings were seen as a cautious attempt to thaw relations and explore areas of cooperation. Although Dissanayake downplayed the visit as a shift in the JVP's core principles, he acknowledged the importance of securing international partnerships to navigate Sri Lanka's current economic and political challenges. Now, before his swearing in, Dissanayake had his first formal engagement as president-elect with Indian High Commissioner Santosh Jha, who became the first foreign diplomat to meet with him on September 22nd. Now, this early diplomatic contact is crucial as Dissanayake's history and policies suggest a challenging dynamic ahead between Sri Lanka and its powerful neighbor. Now, as Sri Lanka welcomes its new president, a sense of cautious optimism fills the air. For now, Sri Lanka can celebrate a new president, but the challenges awaiting Dissanayake are immense, and his ability to navigate them remains a question that only time can answer. Furthermore, what will be interesting to watch is how his presidency will impact the geopolitics in the Indian subcontinent.